Hello, everyone. Welcome back to World Cricket Chat. I think we take a lot of breaks there, don't we, Suneer?
I think it's only normal, natural that we take those many breaks. But with the IPL coming up, I don't think those breaks would be those frequent, if I may say.
No, they won't. It'll be an overload of us, I hope.
Hopefully.
Yes, and it has been a really interesting week in cricket in general as a whole. We've had England do well against New Zealand in the ODIs.
You expected England to do well, especially in the white ball format, the way they've been playing.
Yes, you would. And we've had very interesting test cricket between South Africa and Australia.
It's been it was hyped up to be one of the best series that you would watch in a long time, and so far the cricket has lived up to the expectations. Things off the field, or probably things on the field, which have their a lot of manifestations off the field as well, have also lived up to the expectations that you see from that you expect from Australia and South Africa. So that's been interesting.
Yes, but that's not what we're going to talk about.
Unfortunately,
As much as we want to talk about Rabada, Warner, and Smith, and everything that's been
and
going
Vernon
on.
Philander, we have some news coming in today.
Hacked-in tweet.
A lot of comments to that tweet from Vernon when he says that no, it was just hacked in. A lot of funny comments, one of which is that it might not have been you, it might have been Suresh Raina's nephew. He has this habit of doing that to people.
Well, speaking of Suresh Raina, and that takes us straight nicely into Team India.
Into the Nidahas Trophy.
Yes, into the Nidahas Trophy, which is celebrating Sri Lanka's 70 years of independence. So it's Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and India playing T20 internationals. Again.
India, Sri Lanka playing
India again, yes. And which is why I guess we tend to disappear so much.
Yes. But we had disappeared for the South Africa series as well, so our fault.
Yes, our fault. But let's just talk about this series. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have both put in their best sides, but India have not.
India have not. They have no Virat Kohli. The captain is missing, and we know why he's missing, because he has himself proclaimed that I think his body cannot take that much cricket. Nobody can take that much cricket. I think it was one of the podcasts or in one of the videos that I'd spoken about that this is too much cricket even at the international level. Let's not even count the domestic T20 leagues. This is too much cricket at international level. Cricketers have no breaks between tours, between series, and it was bound to take some kind of toll. It's a good thing that since the South Africa series, he missed the T20s against Sri Lanka in India. That there was a 15-20 day lull before the South Africa series.
He was getting married also.
He was getting married, yes, but it was a welcome break in that sense from the physicalities of a game like cricket. When you play that game day in day out, then there has been this almost a month long break before the Indian cricketers play in the IPL. Would have preferred him to take a break from the IPL given how important the England series is, but that's not going to happen, so let's not talk about it. It is a good thing that he's taken a break from this series.
Well, I think there's a reason for that. He hasn't done well RCB have not done well.
He has done well as a batsman. He was a top scorer.
He's a competitor. He's a leader. He wants his team to be winning. And after the debacle of last year, I think
one can only hope that the Royal Challengers Bangalore do well. If that is the reason, if that is the point at which he takes a break from the IPL, I'm not sure what India play. India go play the World Cup in 2019 around the same time. So probably taking a break from the IPL might not make too much sense. But given that this is a year where they play Test cricket they don't play Test matches immediately after they go to UK to play this. It's a good thing actually. India get used to, from Indian perspective, they get used to the conditions. But coming back to the series that we are going to discuss. It's been an interesting one. India losing that first T20 international against Sri Lanka. One thought that this is a new team, might be difficult for India to get used to those new names and to those conditions. But they have come back well. 3 wins out of 3 after that.
They have, but what did really go wrong in that first ODI? I am gonna nitpick here because the fielding certainly wasn't up to mark, and I think also the batting just fell apart after Dhawan's great start.
Well, as you said, it's nitpicking at best,
Yeah.
because you're looking at a team, a format like T20 where a team has won 3 matches out of 4. You got to give it to them. They played well. 3 out of 4, out of which India batted second, and India batted first in that first game, and that was one of the bigger reasons why they lost, probably because chasing India has been a champion team. Obviously, Virat Kohli is absent from the playing 11, and that is a huge difference to India chasing totals, because he has been responsible for all those wins, lot of those wins chasing. But even without him, the 2 matches that India won after that were chasing as well. And yesterday, India beat Bangladesh batting first on a slow track. So India have done well. That one defeat could, as you said, boil down to bad fielding. Could obviously boil down to India batting first.
Good, and as
And there's a third reason.
okay.
As much as I hate to admit, Sri Lanka batted well. Sri Lanka played well, and they batted well specifically.
Yes, they did. And at the same time, I think India were getting used to a new team, a new combination, and I guess you've got to give them that it's a good start for them. And plus, I think because Sri Lanka won that first match, they even got crowds coming in to watch them, as noted by some commentators.
If they need the crowds to come in, the crowds need the odd win for them to come in. I'm very surprised. But to be fair to them, I think a lot of times the crowds do not come in because of the weather as well. Rains are a problem, in the sense that rains are a problem for cricket. It's not so much of a problem for people who need rains, but for when it comes to cricket, it's a problem. A lot of times matches get abandoned. This is probably the first series where only 2 overs have been lost to rain in Sri Lanka. So probably this is a time where Sri Lanka should host a lot of their internationals as well.
True. What would you say for the current India's new players? Shardul Thakur's knuckleball has been spoken about, and Washington Sundar has done really well. We were having this discussion earlier where you said that he's not really a wicket-taking bowler, but he's still got 7 wickets.
He, as I've seen his brand of bowling, it's not a very wicket-taking brand of bowling. His bowling reminds me of Daniel Vettori. Vettori was never one of those guys who would run through batting orders, but he would restrict the opposition. He would frustrate the opposition into giving away wickets, which is what happened yesterday. Bangladesh had a reasonably big score to chase. They knew that they had to score a lot of runs in those first 6 overs, take advantage of the power play when the ball was hard. Washington Sundar took advantage of that advantage that they were planning to take. He took 3 wickets. One of them was the batsman trying to Nidahas trying to go down the track, trying to hit him. The ball spun in, and it was a brilliant piece of bowling. Washington Sundar expected the batsman to come down the pitch. He flighted the ball, bowled it a little wider, drifted it away, and the ball turned back and the stumping happened. So I think Washington Sundar is a very smart bowler. He has said in an interview, in fact yesterday in the interview, said that he plans for every batsman. Something of an Ashwin there, a very planning, shrewd, cunning kind of a bowler. He is not a wrist spinner, so that advantage that wrist spinners have, that gets lost. But even without being a wrist spinner, I think Washington Sundar has shown what he can do. That Daniel Vettori comparison, I'm pretty sure a lot of fans, a lot of people will be talking about in the times to come.
Suneer, now Rohit Sharma is proving to be quite a successful T20 captain. I'm not going to add in the internationals to it yet, but he has been. But how do you see his captaincy so far in the 4
Chalk
matches?
and cheese when you compare Rohit Sharma's captaincy with Virat Kohli. Kohli has that wearing the passion on his sleeve kind of a captain. Bit from the Ganguly mold, but probably 3 steps ahead of Ganguly when it comes to showing that passion. And Rohit Sharma, in his IPL career and in the few matches that he has captained in at the international level, he has been a more subdued captain, and that gives me a feeling that he's more attuned to the game, to the T20 game. He is more strategic in that sense. He might not come across as someone who is a thinker of the game. There are a lot of Rahul Dravid comes across as a thinker of the game. Rohit Sharma might not come across as that, but when it comes to T20s, I think he knows T20 cricket inside out. And when you know how to play a format like T20, I think the captaincy comes naturally with it. ODIs, probably I'm not very sure how Rohit Sharma goes. Test matches, obviously, he's still struggling to cement his place in the side. But when it comes to T20, I think Rohit Sharma is a decent captain for me.
And considering he didn't do really well with his own batting in the first few games, but his game against Bangladesh has certainly got him back into what we're used to seeing Rohit Sharma as a batsman as well.
Rohit Sharma hit the nail on his head at the toss yesterday when he said that one of the reasons why he's not done well is because he's been playing too many shots to begin with. Rohit Sharma has a lot of shots, and he has the when the pitch isn't doing too much, which you would have in the subcontinent. He's a champion batsman. He can start slow and he can easily cover up for it in the second half of the innings, whether it's ODI cricket or T20 cricket, and that's something that he was missing out on in the first three matches, playing too many shots in those first 5-6 overs. That was something that he reduced yesterday. He had a very slow start. He was on 23 of 21 at one stage.
He looked a little overly tentative.
He was overly tentative. Again, two reasons for that. One, his form obviously wasn't that great coming into that game. But secondly, I think the pitch also played its part. It was a slow pitch. Batting and timing was very difficult. We saw what happened at the end of the innings when he got set, when he knew what the pace of the pitch was. He went after the bowling and he scored those 90 runs, 80, 90 runs, whatever he scored. And well, that is what you expect from Rohit Sharma. You start off slow, but once you get going, he's shown what he can do.
If I'm mentioning Rohit Sharma from that match, I have to talk about Suresh Raina. That was also brilliant, and it was good to see him also play. He's had a really rough time recently, not being in the team. So
yep. So Suresh Raina has had a decent series, surprisingly so. If I might add. Again, it's a subcontinent thing. He is one batsman in this format who, at the subcontinent on the subcontinent pitches, will I think do well if he has the backing of the coach. And I think Ravi Shastri backs him. Ravi Shastri had backed him to an extent that he was selected in the Test match 11 in 2015. Did not do too well, was dropped, and slowly and steadily found his way out of the team across all three formats. He's come back in T20. He's probably trying to make a comeback in the ODI format as well through these T20s. The way he's played in this tournament, he gives me an impression that he's being told to play his natural game, and irrespective of the scenario or the situation. So he's batting at number 3 or 4 or 5 with a lot of overs to play, and he's still playing a lot of shots. In this series, it's come off, but I'm not very sure whether this tactic will come off on a regular basis. To play those many strokes so early is a bit of a catch-22 for me, Shruti.
So I guess he will have to adjust and adapt soon
well,
enough, I hope.
It's if it works for him. I'm just assuming here that this is a kind of a scenario where it might not work on a regular basis, especially on pitches which have a little more bounce. These pitches in Sri Lanka do not have a lot of bounce. In India, you might not get that much bounce, but a little more bounce. Like if you go to Australia, Australian pitches won't swing around too much in the white ball format, but there will be that extra bounce. And with that kind of a stroke play, playing so many strokes, playing so many attacking strokes to begin with, might not be a strategy that works for him. But so far it has, so hats off to him.
Now, it'd be really incomplete if we only speak about India in a trophy where there are two other nations, especially if we don't talk about Sri Lanka. It is their independence, it's their 70 years.
We're talking cricket, we're not talking about politics or independence.
That's true, but it's still their trophy. And they're going to be fighting with Bangladesh for the second spot because India are already there.
Surprised that Sri Lanka lost that match to Bangladesh after scoring 214 batting first. I thought that Sri Lanka, after the way they played against India in that opening match, were probably hands-on favourite to probably, if not win the tournament, be the first team to cement their final place. Whatever happens in the final, it happens on that particular day, especially in a tournament like in a format like T20. But to see them lose first to Bangladesh and then to capitulate against India in that third game that India played and when Sri Lanka played was a bit surprising. I think they are a team that has improved since India last played them in India. They beat Bangladesh. in T20s and in ODIs, but they still have some way to go. I was talking about Suresh Raina's tactic of playing too many
Yes.
strokes. I thought Sri Lanka have also gone in the T20 format with the coach telling them to play their natural game.
They've had a
It's-
change in coach as
They
well.
have
So
had a change in coach. Chandika Hathurasinghe has taken over the role. He was the coach of Bangladesh earlier, and he's now jumped fences and is coaching Sri Lanka. And he's a good coach. He had done a good job with Bangladesh since the time that he's left Bangladesh. You've seen there's a change in the way Bangladesh have been playing cricket as well. It's
are
been
you sure it's their coach that left them to play like that, or was it the Bangladesh Cricket Board's president who seems to be
know.
taking a lot of credit for
I know
the
what
way
you're getting at.
Bangladesh is playing?
he is taking all the positive credit. I don't think he would take the credit when Bangladesh don't do well. But that's what happens when you have a passionate set of fans. There's a passionate set of fans. There's a passionate cricket board president.
Very surprising comments.
Very
Taking
su-
credit for Bangladesh's win against Sri Lanka, and I'm sure he didn't take credit for that snake dance that happened. But we'll move on. You were talking about Sri Lanka, so
Talking about Sri Lanka and the way they have changed. Talking about Suresh Raina, and I was comparing with the way that Sri Lanka have batted. I think they have been given that green signal to just go out there and attack, which comes off at occasions, and on occasions it does not come off. That is exactly what happened in that third game that I was talking about. They started off well, but then once the six over mark happens, you need to change gears. You just can't keep playing those strokes over and over again every game. There will be that odd game where the pitch is that flat that those strokes will come off. We saw India score those 200 odd runs where Rohit Sharma went on to score a century against Sri Lanka in that previous series, in the T20 series. You will have one of games like that, but you can't do that every game. Sri Lanka did that in the first game against India. They went through, won the match. Against Bangladesh, they scored those 200 runs. So, well, the tactic worked. But then it continued against India. And India had seen what was happening. They knew what to expect. They still got away in those first 6 overs, scored a lot of runs. But once India clawed back into the game, there was no second gear for them.
Yeah, 'cause-
Every batsman was going after the bowling every ball, and well, they lost their wickets after that.
because India were just having a warm up for that first match that they
For
lost
the
against.
first match, or was the warm up for the IPL?
I guess this is just the warm up for the IPL. Then let's just call it that. But I am hoping that Sri Lanka do make it to the final, considering it is for their independence. Let's just give them that. But do you think that this chop and change in captaincy, it's forced because it's
Of
a
course.
suspension,
Yeah.
and Dinesh Chandimal is not available? But will that make any difference to how they
I think
play?
captaincy makes a lot of difference. You can name a captain before the start of the series, which is a new captain. He takes some time to adjust, but a change in the captain in the middle of a series is even worse than that. I personally think that they don't know who's their best captain in either of the three formats. They have been changing too regularly. What I hope is from Hathurasinghe again is that they will decide on a captain and stick by him. And the second hope is that they will not lose their captains to overhead problems, because Sri Lanka, we've seen when they were in India as well, they have their set of spinners, and yet they have had problems in completing their overs on time. And we have seen, I think it was Upul Tharanga who has gotten banned once in the recent times because of slow over it, and this is Dinesh Chandimal now getting banned. So I don't think that helps. Thisara Pereira's record as a captain is pretty shoddy. I don't think he has won a single T20 international.
No, he
as a
hasn't.
7 matches played, 7 matches lost, or something in those lines. And you can't keep chopping and changing captains. I think Dinesh Chandimal comes back if Sri Lanka make it to the final. I'm not very sure about that, but for them to make the final, they have to beat Bangladesh first. And had these been the first part of the tournament where India had lost to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka had posted those 200 runs, and you knew that Bangladesh was going to struggle to get there. Suddenly Bangladesh score those runs, win that match. Then against India, they make a fist of that chase on a slow
Yes.
pitch, almost get very close to 170 because of Mushfiqur Rahim's excellent innings and the support that he had.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is going to be a very tight match between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh tomorrow. Not very sure whether this video will be up by then, but
It will be. I'll edit fast, I promise.
but if it does go up, my prediction is that the team batting second will have a huge advantage. I think the pitch will be a lot better than the pitch that the India-Bangladesh game happened on. And that being the case, the team batting second will be the winner.
Superb. Can I choose?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I think I'm going to stick with Sri Lanka winning this one.
And what are your reasons for it?
My reasons are, I think, I don't think that they would really, I think it's more about pride with this sort of a tournament. And it'd be pretty sad. I think personally, I just think it'll be really sad that they're not going to be.
You have suddenly changed yourself into a Sri Lanka supporter.
No,
or do
I'm
you
not.
want India to beat Sri Lanka in the final more than India beating Bangladesh?
I was wondering when you would get there. Yes, so that's actually it. I think there's more sense of satisfaction.
But what if India loses in the final?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay, so Shruti is predicting the final winner.
Yeah, it's India regardless. I just like to. I like the stands to be full.
I'll just remind everyone, and I'll remind Shruti, that India did make it to the final of the 2014 World T20 with much ease. They won almost everything, and there in the final, when they were the favourites to beat Sri Lanka, they lost. So you better be careful of what you think and what might happen.
That's okay. I still have faith, Team India. Even see, we're a second strength side here, and we're still doing well, and we still got to the final.
Yep.
So, I'm pretty confident here.
Cool. I'm confident that we'll have a good final.
Oh, thank God! I hope so. So I think that's about it from us, and next we'll be back for the IPL.
We will be previewing the IPL.
Yes, and I promise to add some predictions this time.
And predictions which do not always say that Mumbai Indians are going to win.
Let's do one thing. Let me not do videos where we're predicting Mumbai matches and have that by default. But but yes, we'll be back for the IPL. So Suneer and I will see you then.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.